me this morning. The idea that God is real, perfect, unconditional, independent, supernatural is a hard sell when there's no props. Moses couldn't point to God and say, here he is. Moses couldn't tell the children of Israel, there he is over there. Instead, Moses had to sell God to Pharaoh through demonstration of his power. You do remember some of the demonstrations that God empowered Moses to do. Moses' staff turned into a snake. The Nile River turned blood red when his staff touched the water. And God sent 10 predicted plagues to weaken Pharaoh's hardened heart. But guess what? With all of those props, it still didn't work. Pharaoh still did not believe God had the ultimate power to set the children of Israel free. And I just decided to stop by United today to tell somebody there are still some, even though God had lifted them up off of a sick bed, even though the doctors had said they were going to die, but they're still here today. There are those who have overcome some major obstacles in their life, and they still have to have proof that God is who he says he is. Oh yes, even when Pharaoh released them, his hardened heart caused him to persecute them once more and again. You see, people in general are hard-headed. They say, show me a sign. I can remember growing up, and we do stuff, and my mother would say, y'all must be from Missouri. The show me state. You have to be shown. You just can't take my word for it, that if you do it again, I'm going to get you. You have to make all y'all better stop. Many people have a hard head. They say, show me a sign, show me a miracle, and then I'll believe. But would they really believe? You see, I have a hard time because, listen, Jesus rose from the dead, and still some men and women do not believe. Now, what more miraculous sign can God give us? And I want to say this morning, for those of you who get frustrated when you try to share your faith in Jesus Christ with unsaved friends, hear me, one day every knee is going to bow. Every eye is going to see him. And his glory will be so bright that it will actually shine brighter than the sun. And not one single eye will miss it and won't be alone. Listen, when he comes back, we're going to notice it because he's not coming back by himself. An innumerable host of angels and believers will accompany Jesus back to earth. And I wonder then will folk believe. The book of Revelation, my brothers and sisters, does not paint a pretty picture. You ever notice why folk scared to read Revelation, and some preachers scared to preach Revelation? In the Sunday school curriculum calls for a lesson out of Revelation. Folk tend to want to shy away from it. Well, that's because Revelation says that there shall be some weeping and some wailing going on. Not just for the ones who crucified Jesus, but for all of the enemies of Christ who rebelled against him and his teachings. Oh yes, they will suffer unbelievable anguish because they have cursed him. They'll have unbelievable anguish because they rejected him. They ignored him, neglected him, rebelled against him, or just plain opposed him. But guess what? When that time happens, it will be too late. Have you ever heard that it can be too late? Have you ever had a too late moment in your life where it was just too late? It was too late for you to get it together. It was too late for you to make it right. It was too late for you to start all over again. Maybe you don't hear me today. Let me see if I can take you back to the 70s when Denise Williams and Johnny Mathis sang a song, Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. Yeah. Y'all know the song. Y'all ain't been singing that long. Johnny Mathis, yes, it's over. Call it a day. Sorry that it had to end. Oh, y'all better come and pray with me today. Yeah. But the sad reality is, Deacon Castle, that one day Jesus is going to look at some folk and go say, yes, it's over. Oh, yes, call it a day. I'm sorry it had to end this way. Depart from me, because I know you not. Why do people reject Jesus? As believers, we know what they reject. When they reject him, they reject Christ's claim to be the Son of God. When they reject Jesus, they reject that he is the greatest religious teacher of all time. They reject his command to repent and be baptized. And so the question is not what they reject. The question now is, why do they reject? Didn't Jesus demonstrate sufficient proof of his deity? Haven't the valuable biblical teachings of Christ withstood the test of time? Let me tell you something. We change, church change, ministry change, but Jesus and his word has never changed. Hasn't the body of baptized believers, the church, withstood generation of persecution and yet remain faithful? So the question is, why do so many continue to reject Christ? And I'll tell you why. Many people believe that man can be good on his own. But let me just stop right there. Sometimes we just think because God has blessed us, we got some education, God has blessed us, we got a little 10-cent job, God has blessed us, we're able to buy a house out in the heights, God has blessed us, we're able to go and buy a nice car, God has blessed us, we don't have to go to Walmart to shop for clothes anymore. Sometimes we get it all up and high and mighty and begin to think that it is us that is doing it. But I stop by here today to tell somebody, you didn't save yourself, you didn't restore yourself, you didn't heal yourself, you didn't deliver yourself. Stop thinking about yourself and live Jesus. Don't think that they've done something. Let me tell you, anything good in me that you see, give God all the glory. Anything bad in me, you can give it to my earthly father. Amen. I said he's not here today. Amen. But we got to stop thinking that we can do things on our own. Get too big. My grandmother used to say, get too big for your britches. Oh yes, many believe that they can be good on their own. But not only that, many believe that there is no need for pardon of sins. Let me tell you something. Just be, and then saved folk have a problem with that, because